I'm muted.
Maybe I need to go back to the face to face. All right, let's start again. Good evening, and welcome to another in our Navigating Life series. Something is happening here. I'm not getting my screen to be shared. I'm not sure why. This is embarrassing. Could be. What's going on? Nope. Are you seeing my screen? No.
No. Well, yes, I can say something now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Something is happening to me that I don't quite understand. But I soon sort it out, and hopefully in a minute we'll be all right. No, that's not what I want to do. Okay. So, still seeing it. This is a new development for me and not seeing this happen. Okay, so welcome to our Navigating Life series. We have been doing this for some time now. They are actually an outreach of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. We meet at 77 Reading Road, Kingston 19 on Sundays at 9 a.m. and we go on until the Bible class follows. So we are there until noon. It's a plan to come for the morning. We also stream live on YouTube as we are doing now, and the sessions are also available via Zoom using the very same link. We use the same meeting link and password. All the time, we have a midweek Bible class that's on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. So, and every last Saturday in the month, we have this Navigating Life series. And the first Saturday in every month, we have a grief therapy session. With me today is Andre Allen Casey, counseling psychologist, and he will be working with me as we go through this. If I can ever sort out what's happening to me today. All right. But what I'd like to do is ask if you could have a word of prayer before we go forward. Almighty God, we give you thanks for this opportunity to share insights as to how we can navigate life in alignment with your will for our lives. Guide us, Lord. Help us that as we discuss these matters, whatever we share will be in keeping with your scriptures. Say nothing, do nothing that is out of line with what you would have us to do or you would have us to live. And we just ask, Lord, that we will also be orderly and respectful in our discourse. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right. So, Brother Andre, then probably sing a song when I try to see how this sharing thing is giving me such a hard time. I can't see myself anymore. If somebody chat. So I'm
I can see a slide.
going blind now. I'm going to present. And then once we get up and running, something will happen. All right. So common socialization. This promises to be a very interesting session. Why? Because I suppose if I use a scripture, I'll be kicking against the pricks because these are things that have been handed down through generations. And here is this little upstart coming to say, I don't think that is as smart or as wise as we make it out to be. Um, Everybody knows the story of the fish and the frying pan, where the people, cut off the head and the tail because, you know the story, right? So maybe one person just coming from the side. Um, yeah, that the person get the fish and they cut it, cut off the tail, cut off the head, whatever it is. And that's it. And from grandma, we used to do this, but of course, it's just that the fish couldn't hold in grandma's frying pan too small, so she chopped it. But that's the kind of nonsense idea. The idea, though, is that they are passing down things from generation to generation, and we're buying into them, and they're not necessarily wise, and they actually are preventing us from having more meaningful relationships. I see all the time where there are things that come from our socialization. Our normal quick response is in a particular direction when it could be otherwise. So there's a sort of knee-jerk thing because that is how we have been brought up. Yeah. But our relationships are far more complex, who can ignore the mind? People are so complex. Yeah. And each one of us, it's so different. That it's hard to come up with fixed rules to say, yeah, this is it. This is how you must behave. I find that that's challenging because with something so complex, there should be gray areas. There should be little nuances as to how we go about it. And we should be more open to allowing for some of that flexibility, allowing for some of that individuality. So yeah, I'm going against the stream in the sense that I'm saying, yeah, maybe we need to be less rigid, more open-minded, more, willing to allow for nuanced behavior and so on. No, let me be careful now. Please, somebody might come for 2 minutes that I've been speaking and go and say, man, I can't bother with this man because you're suggesting that people can just do anything what they want to do. That's not where I'm going, please. That's not where I'm going. I'm only saying that some of the rigidity that relates to how we interact with others is misplaced. And it doesn't help engendering warmer, stronger, deeper relationships, especially outside maybe in our inner circle. Yes. So that's something that we have to look at. And some of the issues that we will look at that, they're well meaning. It's not bad mind, grandma and mommy, they're not terrible. It's just that um, when you penetrate and go through it a little bit further, you have to ask yourself, is this really, huh? Mm, things were so throughout our lives, we have these truths, these truisms, these things that um, tell us basically how we should behave. I don't know what kind of family um, arrangement you grew up in, but for me, there's clarity. You can't go out and embarrass the name, So there are certain standards, there are certain things that should come, should be automatic. Yes. So this is how you should behave, this is how you communicate, and this is how you connect with one another. And so these guidelines are fine, come from a good place. But again, I'm suggesting that we need to look at tinkering with some of them, maybe throwing some in the garbage. Advice given to a gentleman who was getting married. Save, save. Not everything that you hear you should keep. Let some of it go through the sieve. Because everybody has advice, but not all the good advice is good. So I look at it. I don't in the session, you might have some that you want to put on the table, but I have looked at 8 of them, and so we're going to go through that. and the objective is not to cause a revolution, is not to turn the world upside down, but just to say that if we critically analyze these beliefs, these systems, these rules, maybe we can find other approaches that enhance our relationship, yeah, that help us to connect better with people, even with people that we have never met before, yes, and even with people who live in other areas or think differently or look differently. Maybe we could get to a place where, as humans, we can come to um, more harmony in our relationships. All right. Maybe I don't want to oversell it there, because I'm not sure that we're going to transform lives that much. All right. So, any questions? Anybody who thinks that they are here under false pretenses and this is not what you came for? Now's your time. So we're good to go. All right. The first one. People who have heard me speak from time to time will know that this this comes up all the time. First impressions are lasting. Remember, no, Trevor, make a good impression, because first impression lasts. What does that really? What is the message when my mother drilled that into me? Remember, make a good first impression, because first impression lasts. What's the message? And before I even go on, I shouldn't have the screen up, but somebody can somebody online just tell me what is the message that I'm to get from that? When my parents drill into me, that make sure they make a good first impression, because that lasts. What's the message? Anybody? You can mic up, please.
Evening, Brother Smith.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. What's the message that I'm supposed to take from it? Coach me. When my mother drilled that into me, make sure you make a good first impression, because that lasts. What am I supposed to take from that?
I would say 2 things. One of them is that people are quick to judge
Mhm.
So their opinion of who you are, more often than not, starts with the first thing that you present. So you can be perceived as a good person if what you present to the person in your initial encounter is good things. And you can be perceived as a bad person if what you present is their bad things. And very rarely are the people going to delve deeper to find out if this is, is this really who they are? Usually they're very quick to say, okay, yeah, you bad, or yeah, you good. So I would say that is one thing. And the second thing, which I think stems from that, is that because they are quick to judge, that judgment usually is cemented very stably in the mental foundation. So it's not only that I now perceive you as this person, but every action that occurs after this will be colored by that initial judgment. So I'm not going to say, oh, you did a good thing and then you did a bad thing, so you're balanced. Because the first impression was good, then I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you're a good person. And similarly, if the first impression is bad, you doing three good things after that will not have the same effect as the one thing that you initially did that was bad.
Right. Wonderful. Perfectly expressed first part. When I give somebody a chance now, because there's a second part now that I want to talk about the message that I should get from this. So, Stephen, perfect. Don't have to embellish or say another word on that. But is there someone who has something else that I'm supposed to learn from this schooling, this drilling? Remember, make a good first impression. Anybody else? It might not be as eloquent as Stephen. Don't worry about it. Nobody else. No?
Well, I don't know if you can hear me, but I put something in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said that you may not get another chance. The idea of first impression.
Okay.
So if you don't make a first, in other words, if the first impression never wasn't good, you can forget about trying to talk to you again a second, a third, or fourth. That's it. So you
Yeah,
better come good the first time.
right. The little puppy will have your supper. Right. Okay. All right. So let me go with where I wanted to go as well. So if this is drilled into me, and if people are doing this, what am I to do? How am I to behave? Am I also to learn to judge people by their first impression? I mean, this is the norm. People judge people by the first impression. So that's the second part of the discussion that I wanted. The message to me is yes, it's critical that you make a good first impression. But Trevor, since this is how people behave, we might not say to you clearly, but shouldn't you really also develop the capacity to judge them too? Keep your eyes open, Trevor. Make sure that you can see and pick up the first the signals that you get when you just meet the people. Is that a reasonable understanding of what I should take away from it? Or am I being crazy? If this is how people behave and I'm supposed to be groomed and grow up and to be like them, shouldn't I also acquire the capacity to put a tape on Andre's head and say, this is who you are? You ever see that happening? When you meet somebody and after a while, Andre, when I just meet you, I thought that you were height. Maybe even said this evening. Right? But afterwards, I realized that you were actually taller than I thought initially. Okay, fine, let me tell you that. So yeah, but you ever have that thing where you're going through and you keep saying that is not who I am, and the person is saying stop, take off the sellotape now, the crazy glue tape. That is who you are. Yeah, that you have been fighting to say this is who I am and not what you think I am. Yeah, so that's basically what it is. The message is clear. This is how people interact. And so all of us need to make sure that we are on our P's and Q's and look, be careful, be observant. You meet somebody new, make sure. Are they squinty eyes? Are they looking you in the eye? No. What about the handshake? Is that handshake firm? All of these things. Make sure. And by the way, file it properly. File it properly because you're going to need that information going forward. Every time you see the person afterwards, you're going to say, oh, that's the man with slimy, not slimy, but handshake that wasn't so nice. Yeah, that squinty eye person. Make sure that, keep my handbag secure when they're around. Am I blowing this out of thing, or is that part of our reality? And where does it come from? Is this idea of drilling it into persons, that first impression, all of this thing? So therefore, there is a heightened sense of awareness when you come to meet someone. Yes, we have to be alert. Okay, is that helpful? Yeah, maybe if you have the skills to identify that this is a serial killer, then it can protect you. So I'm not knocking it totally, but when we use it broadly, and when we are unwilling and still brilliant in terms of what it means in terms of being able to change that impression, because we tell people to hold that first moment sacrosanct. Don't let it go. Right? No matter what happens afterwards, remember the anchor, the real person is that person that you just met. That first interaction, that is the real person. Yeah? And I feel that somebody's calling Dr. Irons or somebody for me because this is kind of madness. But I still want to go there. So the other thing though is the stress then when you're going to meet people and the whole idea of, clothes fix up with this. It just can't really be yourself. And so that is the other amusing thing about it. Because I know that I have to make a good first impression. The person that I'm presenting is not necessarily me. So I'm going to be on my best behavior. I'm going to present an image that I think that you would want to associate with. It no matter how terrible I am outside of this. So that's the other thing, is that it actually promotes inauthenticity. So people will see it because I want to make a good impression. So, all right. Any questions on this? I think that I really would like to spend some more time on this because it is so ingrained and it has such powerful impact. I really want to have us look at it a little bit more. But so when we break it down though, and we start to look at the reality, is that in that first contact, if I'm going to meet somebody, I'm not sure what mood they're in. I could be going to a meeting and I'm going to want to impress somebody, etc. But on the way down, a taxi man bad drive me, whatever it is, and are the traffic so long, and I mean, I'm going to be late now, although I live, extra half an hour earlier. And so when I'm going there, my mind is not exactly where I want it to be. So I'm not on the top of my game necessarily. So those are some of the things that can impact the first impression. So when I'm going to meet the person, they can sense the tension in me because I'm still roiling from the traffic and what happened to me, and they kind of say, Mr. Commander, he's on edge. Why is he so tight and structured? What? A bit of watch, because this man looks like he's going to explode, and that's the first impression I'm giving. Is that who I am all the time? Maybe yes, but it might not be. And that's all I'm saying. So you have to take context, the circumstances, the stress, and the meeting. What is it about? Is it something that, um, you know, might have implications for um, money, loss of money, loss, problem with relationship. All of those things would impact how I present in that situation. And so we shouldn't just be saying, okay, fine, I'm going to judge this person on the basis of that. Reality is, those of us who have developed strong relationship, we realize that over time, gradually, we learn more about the person, and that then deepens the relationship. There might be good things, there might be some things that we don't like, etc., but we can talk about it, etc. And that then gives us a firm foundation as to who this is and what it is that I'm bringing to the relationship and what is it that I'm getting from the relationship. So true connection there comes from constant, consistent interaction where we share openly and we see how people function. That is one of the things when they used to ask me to talk about people who might be wanting to get married, etc. There was singles groups things. And I used to tell them, make sure, for example, that you get them to play some games, have some competitive game that you play with the person. Yes? And you can learn a lot about them from them to see, do they always want to win? Are they prepared to cheat? I have some people that even build a game where cheating is allowed. Those persons are, I'm not calling any names here, but some of them might be within that earshot. But that's the whole idea. The thing is that you learn from people in that kind of competitive environment. And when they lose, are they poor losers? What happens? That sort of situation. So interacting makes sense. That's how we should look at evaluating people instead of this first impression where the person walks up and had a firm handshake and speaks with a nice deep voice or whatever. That's one of the myths that we should explore, right? So yes, does it carry weight? I think it carries more weight now because it is so deeply embedded, but it can be changed. We know people who initially we might not have got along with them as well as we are getting along with them now, and maybe vice versa as well, that we had some people that came on strong and we thought they were wonderful, and then as soon as we start to learn more about them, we know that we should put some distance between us and them. So my thing is, take off the tape. The key is people put this tape on. All right. Let me give you a for instance. I'm going to take time in this session, so even if it has to go into another month, I'm not rushing it. Right? In a workshop, I put up some people off the internet, right? So put up some pictures, and I said that these people are vying for a role, a position. Right? I don't remember what it was. I think it might have been some community leadership thing, whatever it is. And I just asked, I said, I need help. I need some advice from you guys as to which ones I should, seriously consider for the position and which ones really I should rule out. And people got into it, and actually said this one, and they would tell you why that one is not not so right, and so on, and real serious response. And it wasn't, I didn't present it as a as a game. I presented it as a genuine choice that I had to make with people. and and so this is a picture of somebody, and some of the answers, some of the responses very definitive. That one it looked like it was a playboy, that never take the job seriously, and that kind of thing. Serious. And that's it. It's not even movement, so it's not even a video. You could say body language is just a static image. Where are we going with that? Where are we going with that? So I'm suggesting that we need to have more open mind, more greater flexibility. Is there a risk? Maybe. But I think there's more harm done when we have this rigid first-hand just judgment of the individual, and understand that there is great value in developing the relationship over time. Last word on that, Brother Andre, comment? Or anybody?
I totally agree. And especially, how many times have we, unfortunately, used first impression to make a lasting judgment? And really and truly, as you said earlier, folks have different contexts and different things that could have interrupted and interfered with that first meeting, so to speak. And as you said, they are distracted. And then you're going to use that distraction to make a long-lasting impression of them, and that's not that's not the total them. A matter of fact, I think that's the principle of Jahari's window. You only see people through this window, but you're not looking through a door. And so this is just this what you're seeing, in the different aspects is not the full them. And so we really need to give people an opportunity. We need to give ourselves rather an opportunity to know people before we put them off. Excellent.
All right. Time heals. I know you're hurting right now, but give it time. Time heals. Time heals. Yes? But have heard that? Time heals wounds. No. Again, I want to get myself in trouble with my ancestors, but this is not really true. It's a myth, and it's causing problems. Some people are staying in pain and having emotional trauma for longer because they have heard this and they've got the advice. It's not just hear it. People come to them and say, well, give it time. Time heals. And it's well intentioned, but does time really heal? I'm just suggesting that the time alone can't do it. It's what you do with the time. What you do with the time. Time alone does not heal emotional wounds or anything. As a matter of fact, let us say you get a cut, get a physical injury. Yeah, sometimes time might do it, but sometimes if you leave it, they might get it gangrene. So you need to do something on it. Make sure that it's not infected. Make sure that you do something. So it's not just a question of time. And it's the same thing now with your emotional situation, where if you do nothing about it, it is likely to escalate. And that's what happens when there's a conflict normally. Sometimes, I wouldn't say normally, but sometimes what it is that we build on it. And the longer, it's there, sort of almost fester, the same thing. And something else happens now, we build and build and build until it gets to a point now where really and truly, even a little incident has gone blown out of proportion. So time by itself, you need to have active effort put into it. Yeah? what actually heals. So you might need therapy, depends on what it is. And putting a plug for my counseling psychologist. Honest conversations normally work as well. Forgiveness work, and when we say forgiveness work, again, is work. Sometimes we definitely have to work on our forgiveness. And then also processing the emotions. My suggestion is, for example, if it's a conflict, if something happened in a relationship, look back as to what it is. Really try to be as unemotional as possible to find out what really happened. And why am I upset? Why is it this upsetting me? Why is this causing me to be in this state of anger, frustration, or pain? Why? Yeah. Tough question that I normally ask. People don't like it. What is my role in it? Is there something that I did or did not do that could have made a difference? Something that I did or did not do that could make a difference. Those are some of the things that we have to look at. And then also, for me, what would constitute resolution? How can this matter be solved? Yes. If we have a cut, a wound, we can try and find out what it is that we have to do to get it better. We don't just sit down and leave down. And that's basically what I'm saying. So it's not just the passage of time. It is active work. Use the word work to use the time effectively. So healing requires engagement with our peer. Yes, but we talk about these things all the time. So acknowledge it, recognize it is not, oh man, I'm all right. No, that matters. Those things don't matter. Those things I just ignore this. No, I don't. If you're really not ignoring it, don't say that. Deal with it. Yeah. I have a habit sometimes when something is going on in my head, and I have to stop myself and just say, hey, stop, what's going on? Why are you in this state? What's happening here? And I try to narrow it down to find out what it is, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So my soul, you know, but it's time to talk about that. So when I use some trouble within me, you know. So that's part of what it is. Not waiting for it to disappear, actively work on your plan. So time helps, but it's not a passive healer. So I have an example here of two people who, let us say, were betrayed in a friendship. So one of them goes through some of the things that we talk about here. Maybe it depends on how bad it is. They went to counseling and they go through the reflection process and start to expose themselves, make themselves vulnerable to other people, etc. The other one kind of shut down with the pain and wonder why. How could this person that I trusted, that was so close, you know, I confided in them, how could they do this to me? And so they ruminate on it and they shut off. I can't trust people. I'm going to step away. I'm not into anybody. I'm not letting anybody do this to me again. And so when we look at the two individuals, years afterwards, we could have one who is enjoying great friendships, still able to trust people, make herself available or himself available and vulnerable, and can have deep relationships. The other one basically has narrowed down. They really don't talk to anybody. The relationships are not deep. They're very shallow because I don't want anybody to get too close to me. So time has passed. One of them has used the canvas, as I would say here, for healing and has painted a nice, beautiful picture. One of them when we have painted dark, overcast skies. That's my point about time as a passive healer. Let us not fool ourselves and think that just allowing time to pass, everything will be there. Like to stop again? Anybody? Some comments on this?
Can I say something?
Please, beg you.
I have a little saying, sometimes, I shouldn't say, well, yes, but sometimes I ask, my folks, like I say it that way, sometimes I say to them, since I say, I agree that healing takes time, but how much time you need to heal? How much time you need to, or how much time you want to remain in pain? Because healing suggests that you're in pain, right? Well, how much time do you want to stay in pain? Do you want to get rid of it now? Or you want to take time for it to heal? And that's what I just ask them, and just to get them to reflect on the idea that, yeah, why should I spend one big long, time for this healing when possibly I can do something about it now, to get the job done. And I'm just there with you.
Yeah. No on the cross thread, but it's the same thing with forgiveness. Yeah, people would say it takes time, but yeah, the big question again is how much time, and how do you know, how you calculate the time? You have some algorithm that you work out to say that we need to multiply this by that in order to know that it's 3 months or a year. How do you know? All right, we start to get into deeper waters now. Hope we have safety equipment for me. So there's this new drive, for authenticity and radical honesty, and yeah, we have to be true and open and transparent, and um, yeah, let the chips fall. So that's an idea. That's you know, times when people, there's a theory that all of us wear masks. Time to take off our mask, man, and be real and true and so on. I hear it and I have no real problem with it. But is it really possible that we can be sharing every thought, every feeling, every opinion, yeah, in this transparent way, without any filters, without any consideration as to the impact, without any consideration as to the context and what it would do to the relationship? No, it's healthy, man. If the relationship was strong enough, then people should be able to take it, because I'm just being real, I'm just being true, I'm just telling you. So in that context, let me get myself in trouble. So there's a situation in which my dear wife, I was in a discussion with somebody, a heated exchange, I could say, whatever it is. And so on the way home, she wanted to discuss the matter. I didn't want to discuss the matter. And let me say why. I didn't want, because I thought that there was a two-way, that it wasn't clear that one party was wrong and the other party was. I just thought that. So a rational discussion would have been, to share that. I think that, this could have happened this way and that could have happened another way, etc. But when someone is seeking support, they don't want no rational thing. They just want to have their spouse support them. So that's part of what I'm saying to you. If you talk about being totally transparent, believe you me, just watch your friendships go down, because not every time people want to hear what is that they don't want to hear. That's my opinion. Yeah. I can look at the list and see who's on the list. Okay, I might get myself in trouble here. But seriously, that's the problem. And we even talk about it, we talk about self-talk and what it is. And sometimes in terms of coaching people now, this is a bonus at we're saying, watch what you say to yourself, because if you spoke of others the way that you speak to yourself, you wouldn't have any friends, you know, because, you know, the but you told, why are you so stupid? So, you know, we really talk to ourselves in some bad ways, but that's a digression. What we want to say, though, is that if you were to ever get to a place where you have to speak exactly what it is that you are feeling, what is it that you are thinking, I don't know that the relationship is going to be strengthened. I'm not sure that people are ready for that kind of honesty. I'm just saying that. So if I'm trying to explode the myths out of, you know, that is what the game is. I'm just suggesting that strategic honesty is a better approach where you can keep your mouth closed, for example, if you don't want to share what it is that you have to say. Normally, you know, you say to people, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it. But and so that you're not lying, you're not being dishonest, you're just withholding the statement. You could also maybe judiciously ask questions as against giving an opinion, just suggesting that being more constructive as against laying it all out, you know, and I'm just bearing my soul. I'm just being authentic. You know, I'm tired of wearing the mask. I'm just suggesting that you might have problems, and instead of strengthening relationships, you might actually be um, pushing people away from you. And you can say, that's fine. I don't need those friends. And if they can't take the truth, that's their problem. But what are we talking about? Are we looking to improve relationships? That's my goal. That's why I'm exploring these myths, because I consistently see how they push people apart as against bring them closer together. And this is it. I know I would expect that I must get some pushback or some comments on this one, where about this authenticity. Do you want to have a friend that is not careful? I don't know what to say, because I don't want anybody to lie to me. But sometimes you might be in a position where you want comfort, you want guidance, but you want it delivered in a thoughtful way that empowers you, that enables you. Yeah. The reason why you're there, Trevor, is because you're too stubborn. You're too this, you're too that. Yeah, thanks. I really needed that. And I'm sure that I'm going to be empowered by your candid comments. Thank you. That's why I have you as my friend. Comments and not saying another word on this somebody stop, because I'm getting myself in enough trouble here.
Look at the chat. Look in the chat.
I'm chat challenged today. You can read some, please.
Well, sorry, I was the one who put it in the chat. So
I know,
let me
but
come out.
read it to me, please.
Right. So
I'm
I
not
have
chat to me, please.
is it the same as confess your faults one to another? Or where do you put that?
I hear it. I don't know. But it's a different story now, because it's the reverse. I'm saying if I want to come and I want to share with you how terrible I am, that's my prerogative. I am confessing to you. It's a different thing, though, when you come to me and you point and you say, you are this, you are that, you are the other. You know, why I don't like, you know, or what I don't like about you, this and that. That's a different thing. That's not confessing to me. That is telling me how you feel about me. So it's a difference. I think individuals can bear the soul and, you know, and tell people what's happening to them. But know whether someone could actually come and dump on you all the negatives that they think about you. I'm not sure that that's helpful.
What if I gaslight you into confessing? What if I say to you, you need to learn to confess your sins one to another and guilt you because you're too private, you're too secretive. You need to learn to be transparent. You need to, if you want to build relationships, you have to learn to be vulnerable.
I hear it. I hear it. And I'm saying to you, thank you for that information. I will review it and see if I need to modify my behavior.
Brother Smith,
Yeah, all good. Go ahead.
I'm getting a lean in that suppression of the truth is okay. I
I
might
don't
be
know where
right.
I don't know
Might
where
be
you're
right.
getting the lean. I don't know where
I'm
you're
just
getting the
leaning
lean from.
towards that.
I'm not getting the lean in there at all. I'm not saying that. I'm only saying to you that how you empower. What is it? What is it? What is it? This is not a court, right? You're not going to the jury to say, well, okay, I find you guilty or not guilty or whatever it is. The objective that I have here is that we're going to enhance the relationship. We're going to empower people. We're going to make them function better, right? If if I understand certain things about you, should I find a way to have you modify the behavior? Should I find a way to empower you to modify the behavior? Or should I just find you guilty? I'm not suppressing the truth. I'm not suggesting that you would, that you lie to the person. I'm only suggesting that there is a way to get the behavior modified without a guilty verdict, where you're just saying, something, bam, 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 case closed.
I would ask the question, what would Jesus do? And I go in the idea where Jesus just look at Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan."
Yeah. Jesus also said, turn the other cheek. Yeah. Or do
Yes.
whatever.
Yes,
So there's a whole for love, there's a whole for. So yeah, that's it. Context. Context. That's, as a matter of fact, I think it's a perfect example. Go ahead, brother.
So it depends on the situation that you're in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I'm suggesting, is that it's not just a dump because I'm transparent now, therefore I'm going to just dump on people. It has to be context. Yeah, of course, some truth telling has to be there sometime. Yeah. If the person, for example, I don't know, you know that the person stole something, whatever it is, and they are saying, no, I didn't, whatever. No, I'm not suggesting that you walk around now and avoid the issue. Sometimes you definitely have to point out to say, this is the fact, and how we move from here. But so I think we're at a point where I can make a statement that in all that we're talking about here, there are nuances, it's a gray area, there are some contexts here. It's not, human behavior is not black and white, never ever. So even when I'm talking there now, so I'm not saying don't tell the truth, but I'm also not saying, it is wonderful to just dump truth on people. So there is a complex set of situations within how you handle things. Yeah? If you know, and I think this is where we need to go. What is the objective? What is the objective? What is your goal? What do you want from this conversation? What is the outcome that you want? That is critical, because that then should guide how it is that you approach, what it is that you say. Yeah. So, and also the context, you should, the person, how it will land. If you approach them maybe frontally and just say this is them, then they might explode and don't listen. Another person might take it smiling, okay, yes, thank you, I'm going to deal with it. But it just goes through one ear until the other. Those are some of the things, Another person might have to come with evidence to say, so where did you see me do this? And you go through a court case. Those are some of the things that you have. Other person might have to put your hand around them and comfort them and to say, well, okay, it's fine. I know it's tough. That's what I'm suggesting, is not a one size fits all let's do this. No, I'm free. I'm taking off my mask. And then everybody have to run. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question, brother, but it's a long answer.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think I'm fat?
No, no.
Even if I weigh 300 pounds, I'm the same sometimes. Sometimes.
Not even that, but have I put on weight?
I'm not even laughing. I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. I guess I am saying here is that I mean, I'm in a believe you me, people come with ask some questions in which they already know the answer, but how you mirror it, to them has everything with what that relationship is going to look like going forward. And so a lot of wisdom need to take place in what people say, and when they say it, and how they say it, and why they say it, and there are times, by the way, there are times when people come to Jesus and ask certain things, and the Bible said they must quiet because they know what is in their mind. So one couldn't just answer them then. And there are times in which him just answer them straight.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, on both sides of the fence, we see where wisdom takes place in what you do, and when you do it, and if you do it, and why you do it, And so all of that, as you have stated earlier, that a lot of context has to think there, and the motive, motive is so, and what's the goal? What is the goal? If you're trying to build a relationship or an authentic, or if you're even trying to be transparent, talk about the sayings. Not everything that not everything not everything that can be said should be said.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's a wrong one too, but I'm just saying.
No, that's a good one. I like
But
that.
yeah, if you understand what I'm saying. And so always kind of, I think the idea here is that um transparency, yes, but to what end? Transparency, yes, but to what end? And what's the goal when you claim that you need to be transparent? One, and number two, why is it that you are so interested in wanting to know people's business? No, seriously, sometimes it scares me. I'm sorry to say that, but it scares me. That's why I went about the confess thing, because that is a personal choice. It is a personal choice. It's not me. I walk around and tell you, you need to confess, you need to confess. No, it becomes a personal choice. And so sometimes we take it out of context and use it in some ways and let people feel like, boy, they have to bear it all. Like, sometimes people are not ready to hear your story. Just saying. Sometimes people are not ready to hear your story. Sometimes some folks come and share some things with you in your box left, and you say, no man, too much information. TMI. Sometimes people they just don't have the maturity also to hear all of that. I'm just saying. Okay, so yes, but yes, it will be nice if you have a place that you can share, but you have to be very selective when you share and who you share with, and whether or not they have the maturity to listen to what you have to share and will not judge you as a result of the same.
Couldn't say it other way better. All right. So as it says here, sometimes the most caring thing we can do is to process our initial reactions privately. In other words, woo, I'm thinking this, etc. But let me work it through first before I say anything. Yeah. So let me think this through as to how this is going to land, how this, might be misinterpreted. All of that is there too, you have to not look at your intention, but is there a chance that what I'm sharing could be misinterpreted? Yeah. So that is something that we need to look at. So while you're free and clear in your mind, it might not land that way. Right? So healthy relationships thrive on a balance between honesty and discretion. That's the point. And that's where I wanted to maybe I should have read this sentence when Brother Good was asking the question about suppression of the truth. That's not the idea. The idea, though, is that we don't want to be dishonest. We don't want to be lying, etc. Or be not our true selves. You just have to be mindful of how the information we share and we learn, and the timing is critical as well. And then we also need to look back at our goals and our objectives and our motives. So the goal is to build trust and understanding, and it's not simply to let the person know how terrible they are. All right. So that's it. Don't know if I've exploded this one or whether that one is still up for grabs. Gosh. Braveheart. How can I ever challenge the golden rule? Which also, even in a sense, in the scriptures and all over. I'm not challenging the rules so much as an understanding and or how we have misinterpreted the thing, I think. And the misinterpretation is that we must treat others as you want to be treated. So, Brother Andre, you have to treat me how you want to be treated. Let me say it again. Brother Andre, you have to treat me how you want to be treated. Brother Stephen, you have to treat me how you want to be treated. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Yes. Suppose you have different needs, different desires, different mindset. Why would I want to be treated like that? That is the challenge. Anybody can see the flaw in this understanding of the so-called, the golden rule, where we have to treat people the way that we want to be treated. So in workshops, I have a little thing where we try to show part of the socialization problem is that if you invite somebody, their home or whatever to drink something, you should ask them, right? So, so I would say to the workshop participants, this workshop is going wonderfully well. When we finish here, I want to invite you guys for a drink. Yes, we're gonna go over to the cocktail, wherever it is, and get a drink. And when we are there, I'm going to ask the waiter to give everybody a Pepsi. Right? And everybody said, well, I'm not drink, I'm going to drink Pepsi. Big argument about it. And I'm saying, okay, fine. Who did the invitation? All of that kind of thing. But the bottom line was that if I were invited like this, that is what I would want. I would want a Pepsi. And so therefore, I'm giving you my best. I want to treat you how I would want to be treated. And that's why I'm giving you the Pepsi. You can see the potential fallacy in that understanding of treating others how you want to be treated. So I am giving my Pepsi, but people say, I'm not drink Pepsi. You want that? I'm in shoes. Whatever cranberry. But that's the problem with the concept of treating people how you want to be treated, because people have different approaches, outlook, etc. Comments? I'm struggling, I'm struggling. How can I challenge the golden rule? Rescue me. Anybody? People are very quiet. Some of you have not said a word.
Now, may I?
The man, go ahead.
Well, if you read only one what's the word I'm looking for? if you only read Matthew's account and don't read other folks' account and look at the verse, then you'd see where some verse might even put in the word do good. And so it was very specific about what the treatment must look like.
Yeah.
And so but most times the it is the Matthew 7 rendition most folks use to identify the golden rule. Do unto others as you have them do to you. Or some versions of treat that.
Yeah.
And so I expect, but you're right. I mean, and so if they only look at that, then I think they run into a big problem, as you have kind of shared. That look here. If suppose my measurement of treatment, really goes counter,
Good treatment, even good treatment for yourself. Might be
even
like
what I
me.
call good treatment.
Yeah.
Wow. And so really and truly, the good treatment has to be an objective one, not a subjective one.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd want to add to that it has to be a treatment that God supports and endorses as, again, something that hey, I constitute as good, when in truth and in fact, God said, call no man good. But anyways, I mean, that I constitute as good, and really and truly, it goes counter, extremely counter to what somebody else might consider to be good, for that matter. Right? For a practical term purpose, it might even be offensive. So
Well, like this is in the example that I use, like people,
Pepsi, yeah.
they would be upset. You're insulting. You bring me here and that I don't drink that. So it could be insulting. But here is a practical approach. Um, Again, aligned, clearly everything is going to be aligned with God's will and how you're going to behave, etc. But wouldn't it be better to find out how the person wants to be treated? That seems to be, that is one of the areas that I'm saying. We know that you're inviting somebody to lunch, you're going to find out, do you eat this, but I don't eat fried food, or I don't eat shell food. It just makes sense. So rather than my saying, boy, I don't really like a nice piece of, jerk pork. So if I go and invite out Andre because he's, some pork, I love that. No, that's not really true, by the way. But is that the approach then, that I'm going to look at myself and to say, this is what I would want. And so therefore, this is what I should be seeking to give to others. Not a healthy thing, I don't think. I think there's a better approach, which is basically what I'm suggesting here, is that we should listen actively, pay attention to how others communicate their needs. And one of the things that we need to encourage people to do is to speak up, share exactly what it is, and not just suffer quietly, So I'm there, and what I suggested to the people who don't drink the Pepsi, rather than to insult me, every now and then, you throw your glass, throw some of your glass on the ground so that it looks like it's going down, so that I feel as if people are enjoying my invitation. But you don't really want to do that. That's not necessarily authentic. But the point would be, though, that we should ask, we should try and find out what it is. We do that. We definitely do that when we invite people to eat, or if we want to find out what it is that they want to drink, or whatever it is. Why we don't do that in terms of their behavior, in terms of our communication with them? How do you want me to communicate with you? Yeah. So ask questions. What are what are the boundaries? Yeah? What are your preferences, etc. And as part of how you develop close friendships is that you are able to inquire and able to get feedback as to what works, what doesn't work. Yes. And to constantly check on that. Did you enjoy this or did you not, etc. We can get better at it. So me adopt this approach where we have not looking at myself as a standard and looking at my needs and my desires, but rather to say, what is it that others would want? What is it that not even others, this person and this person and that person? Sometimes we talk about it and people will say, I can't, for example, somebody might say, I'm working with, 20, 30 people. I can't create, a style that's unique for each one of them. And my pushback to that is, what if you were the one getting the treatment that you didn't like? How would you feel? And so relationships take time. It's work. Yes. You can't have a one style fits all. Many persons have a Trevor juice bottle and they just serve it to everybody. Yeah. This is Trevor juice. This is Trevor juice. You like it, you don't like it. That's your problem. I just don't have the time and the energy to take out some of this and put some of that for Andre. And no, that's what. If they not like the juice, well then maybe get somebody else's juice. But this is me, and I'm authentic. This is me. Take it or leave it. I don't know if that is you encounter that in life, but that is part of my observation of how people live. Is that basically it is here is me in a bottle. Drink it or I don't drink it. You don't like it, or get another bottle from somewhere else. But that's some mistake, and that's some mistake. And you can't change for everybody. I think that I'm a hypocrite. This one, behave like this to this one, and behave like that for this one. No, that's not all that. All right, we are at 7:46 normally. We want to allow some time for some questions and comments. So all who have not spoken have a chance here now before we wrap up. Any comments, questions? We'd love to hear from someone who has not spoken, but Andre, don't stop. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, they're afraid. Okay, but the as you said, the I like your suggestions about um um what's his name? Don't I can't remember his name now, but spoke about our love language, and his name is slipping me. And the truth be told, if you want to love somebody, one of the things that this gentleman, that spoke about the different love languages that exist, find out how people want to be loved, and do your part to love them the way they want to be loved. At minimum, that's where we have to start until folks decide that, something, there's a higher standard, the agape love, but that is something that people grow into. But at first, at minimum, if people don't feel loved, how are you going to teach them sacrificial love? And so the truth is, for people to reach there, they have to feel love, which then means that you have to love them the way they want to be loved. You have to find out from them and say, okay. And of course, I'm not saying here that if somebody says I want to get beat up, that's how I want to be loved. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that, hey, you are the fact that you are um, um, interested in how they would feel loved. It shows that you have a concern. It's not about you, it is about them. And so that is the message that you want to convey first and foremost. So even if you want to educate them on a higher manner of love or degree of love or standard of love, standard is a better word, a standard of love, then you have to reach them, so that you can teach them.
Well said, sir. Well said. Yep. So yeah, I'm gonna look at the other miss next month, first Saturday in the month. But I want to just finish up with this one in that, as you were saying here, the better approach would involve treating others as they want to be treated, which then will require things like being observant, asking questions, and adapting our behavior based on individual preferences. So really and truly, it can be one battle. You really have to have a battle for each person. Yeah, challenging, but then life is challenging. Relationships are challenging. Yeah. So some people appreciate direct feedback, while others prefer a more gentle approach. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we have to look at, are the nuances and how individuals differ. And so if we are going to treat them how they want to be treated, it requires some work. All right. So that's where we want to leave it. I just want to share that this again is an outreach at the St. Andrew Church of Christ. And we meet at 77 Reliance Road, Sundays at 7. 77 Reliance Road, Sundays at 9 a.m. And also we have Bible class immediately after. And we have a Tuesday night Bible class at 7:30 using the very same Zoom link and password. And all of this is being streamed on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Simply Christians with the S, Simply Christians JA. All right. Just remind you now that our Bible class series, we're dealing heart of a Christian. What this is really about is spiritual diseases like prejudice, worry, unforgiveness. Right now, we're going through prejudice. So we have very, very interesting series that we're doing. And here again is the link. And it's right after service. So that when 10:50, 11 o'clock, we get started. And we're doing fully alive in 2025. Where we're looking at Colossians and pulling the joy that comes from Colossians. That's it. Thank you very much. Last word available to anybody who wants to comment. If you found value here, please invite your friends. Same link, and it's going to be at the first Sunday, first Saturday. I'm confused tonight. First Saturday in November, right? Yeah, November. That's really good. All right, but end of this month, last Saturday in this month, we have our grief therapy session for people who are mourning a loss, are going through loss. And Brother Andrea, thanks for your time. And there's something in the chat. That's it. Okay.
Thanks for assimilating class, Brother Smith.
Thank you, sir, for your support. Yeah, let's finish it because we have some other interesting ones coming up afterwards. All the best.
Okay, so see.
All right.